Today we're going to be taking a look at an aircraft that I've been waiting a really long time to get my hands on. That is the Comanche 250. This is the one by A2A Simulations for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Now they had one for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and I've been waiting very patiently for them to release the same for 2024, which they did quite a while ago, as a matter of fact, but I've just been able to get my hands on it. There was a nice little sale going on in the marketplace, which really I could not refuse, because this aircraft is normally around $50 from Just Flight, which is my favorite store to pick up stuff from. But in the marketplace, it was available for around $38 US, which is a steal for this aircraft. So we're going to take a look at this very lovely rendition of the Comanche 250. So currently we are at Victoria, I believe, in Canada. All right, first things first, let's go into the walk around mode, which as you can see is very nice. Now this aircraft has a lot of interesting stuff, like you being able to check inside these tanks if you want to. Very nice modeling here throughout the exterior of this aircraft. It's modeled really nicely. You've got your tie downs that you can remove like so. You can remove your chocks. I like that they remain there, which is pretty nice. Right, there are no engine covers. Let's continue removing stuff here. Pitot tube cover, that each side has to be individually removed, which is very nice. You can remove this tie down as well if I can get close enough to it. There you go. Now on the other side, we can actually climb onto the wing too in walk around mode. So you can actually step onto the wing like you would in real life, which is pretty cool. So that's a quick look around the aircraft. Very beautifully modeled, very nice aircraft here. It's quite old. It's not a new aircraft by any means. However, it is still very fun to fly in the modern sky. All right, let's jump into the aircraft. Very nicely modeled cockpit. As you can see, the leather, the tones, the stitching, everything is very nicely done. To me, this is a very nice level, acceptable level of texturing. It's a little bit blurry here and there, but it's perfectly fine with me. The dashboard right there, that all looks okay. Once again, even in the cockpit, there's a lot of stuff we can interact with. We can open the door if we want to. We can close it up. So there's a lot you can do around this cockpit. I believe you can even open these. Yeah, you can open these. You can open that. It's pretty cool. Let's get rid of the control locks right there. They go into this right here. You can also hide the pilot's yoke only today, so it's easier for us, right? Okay, let's bring up the tablet, which is very well done. All right, so first things first, if we go to flight info in the tablet here, it'll give you your local altimeter, your visibility, your temperatures, and your precipitation, as well as a nice visualization of your wind. You can see that here as well. With the aircraft, it gives you some basic information such as takeoff speeds, some landing speeds, some restrictions. In addition to that, it will give you some airspeed, ground speed, all of that. It also gives you your cabin temperature or the cabin condition right here, which is pretty nice. I like that a lot. In terms of checklist, you've got a very nice and concise checklist that honestly, if you follow down to the T, once you know where everything is, really helps you get started with this aircraft. Now you've also got emergencies, checklist for emergencies if you are simulating any of those stuff. If we go to controls, there's a lot of options here. Parking brake, wind, wheel chocks, tie downs and stuff. If you don't want to do the walk around mode, you've got that here. Got your headphone simulation, cabin vent, cabin heater, defroster, which are right here, by the way, I believe. So yeah, you've got lots of stuff here. Electric stuff, battery, avionics, speedo, heat, fuel pump. You can even start the aircraft from here. You can operate various things from the tablet if you want to. Obviously, we're not going to do that today. We're going to do it from the cockpit. Got a bunch of lights here. You've got a bunch of options that you can set as you want. All of them are very nice. You've got auto start if you want to do that. You've got options for configuring your GPS. Now today I'm flying with the RNAV set of radios. Obviously you can fly with no GPS, which we have right now. We can fly with the old-timey radios only, some RNAV stuff, GNS 530 and 430 if you want to put it in as you want to. Well, I like to leave it on RNAV, so that's what we're going to do today. Okay, fuel payload, you can set your passenger and pilot weight. You can also load up your baggage from here, control that. You can get some fuel here. If you have got the wingtip tanks configured, you can use that. Otherwise, you can just use your main wing tanks. Everything is right here. You can even update your digital engine monitor, which is right here, I believe. Okay, let's go towards maintenance. Now here you can configure a number of options that you want to with the aircraft. If you want, you can have some stabilator tips. Those at the end of each of your stabilizers right there. You've got your wing gap seals, your fairing at the wing root. You can put all of these things, and what they will do is they kind of increase the performance of the aircraft a little bit, give you an extra headroom with some speed and etc. You can soundproof it too if you like, but I really like the sounds of this aircraft, so I'm not going to do that. You can also choose between two propellers, which don't seem to affect the performance much. However, appearance wise it does do different. So you've got your Macaulay, you want to use that one, or you can use your MT propeller, which is kind of painted and fits in with the rest of the aircraft. So depending on which you like to use, you can select that. So lots of options here. You can wash the plane, you can clean the bugs, inspect it. See, you can inspect everything here if you want to. You can press on each of these items and it will tell you if there's something wrong or something that you need to fix. You can overhaul everything if you want to. You can even select the condition of the aircraft. New, used, auction. If you look at the engine here, you can do the same thing. Inspect each of these items if you want to. There is a idle bar right here. Now we'll get to that in just a second. Oil grade and lots of advanced options here. Obviously, you don't have to tinker too much with this. The aircraft is fine to go right out of the box anyway. You've got your engine analyzer, which gives you a visual representation of the functioning of the engine as it runs. So that's pretty cool to see as well. Electric systems, you can see that. It's very simple, but a visualizer is always very nice. A visualization, I should say. Let's go and get our aircraft started up and take it for a mini flight around Victoria here. So before engine start, let's get this done. Pre-flight, we're not really gonna do one today. Passengers briefed, seatbelt secure, control lock removed, parking brake set, gear switch down. This is the gear switch. Flaps up, flap lever is right here, they're up. Radios off. Let's make sure all the radios are off, and yes, they are. Okay, that is fantastic. Autopilot master off. Autopilot master switch is here, it's off. Avionics master off, it is off. All electrical switches off, all of them off. Circuit breakers in. There's a row of circuit breakers right underneath there, and they're all in. Rotating beacon on. So rotating beacon button, we're gonna turn that on right there. Engine start time. Fuel selectors, desired tank. Today I'm going to turn both of them on, so we're gonna do that. There you go. We're gonna put both of them on the main tank today. Mixture rich. Throttle cracked. So let's have our throttle slightly cracked like so. And propeller full forward. There you go. Carb heat off. Carburetor heat is off right here. Master switch can come to on. Okay, let's turn our master switch to on right here. Fuel pump on. We're gonna turn on the fuel pump and then check the fuel pressure right here. Then we'll turn it back off. Fuel pump on. Give it time for the fuel pressure to rise here. There we go. Fuel pressure is looking good. It's looking good, and that is good enough. We're going to turn off the fuel pump right there. Primer 1 to 5 strokes. I like to give it about 3 usually. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Primer 1 to 5. Mags both. Magnetos. There you go. Prop clear. We're just going to assume it's clear. Oh, there's a guy there. That's fine. We're clear. We're just going to go for it. And then what? Starter engage. So we can engage the starter and try and start our engine. So we're going to press the start button. Engine's attempting. You can push the throttle in. And there you go. So in case you press the starter and it's not starting right away, just push the throttle slightly in and out, and that will get your engine up and running. The reason why we have to push the throttle in sometimes a little bit is because this particular engine, and most engines of this nature, do not like to sit at low RPM. So they usually cut out and die if you go below around 800, 750, somewhere there. To prevent that, that is why you go in cracked with your throttles cracked. Now, if we come below 1000 here, you can see how the engine is very near quitting. Okay, if I pull it back, it's gonna quit. Over here at the set idle, you can set where the idle level for your throttle is. So when you go idle on your hardware throttle, where will the RPM sit? That is what this slider dictates. And based on where your throttle hardware is, for example, for mine, if I pull it all the way back, this is where the RPM sits. Right now, my hardware throttle is on idle. Okay, and this is where the RPM sits. That's because I've set the idle bar right here. If I pull this back, the idle will drop and the engine will cut out because the engine is not comfortable sitting at such low RPMs. So you can play with that and make sure you have a comfortable range. Otherwise, every time you go to idle on your hardware throttle, the engine might cut out. So you need to calibrate that. Oil pressure checked. Oil pressure is just fine. Our oil temperature is rising slowly. That's okay. We'll leave it mixture lean as required. We can lean it out a little bit. Now let's go to taxi. Primer needs to be locked, so let's lock it. Avionics master switch on, which is right here. There you go. Ammeter check. You've got your engine monitoring each of the cylinder heads right here. You've got your temperatures and all that stuff. Radios on. So let's turn on all our radios. On. There you go. All right, we've got all the radios on. That's great. Transponder as required. We'll just turn it on today. Altimeter set. Let's set our altimeter. You can use this dial right here, or if you have a shortcut in your keyboard, you can use that. Today I'll use that, and as you can see, we're not very far up above sea level. Heading indicator set. If you want to do that, you can set your heading to the runway heading today. I'm not going to do much. I'm just going to leave it like this. Landing gear lamp has to be green, which it is. There it is. Down and locked. Good. Nav lights as required. Now the nav lights are operated by this particular knob here, and that also controls the panel lighting as well. So when you scroll it, you'll hear a click right there, and this light will switch off. That means that nav lights are on. Beyond that, you can control your panel lights, I believe, if I'm not, instrument lights. Yeah, nav lights are now on. Parking brake release, and we can test our brakes on the initial roll. So we can release our parking brake. Now again, parking brake operation is realistic. You have to hold your brakes down to engage parking brake once you disengage. So let me disengage my parking brake here. Testing brakes. Brakes are just fine. There you go. Okay, I'm going to put my parking brake back on here. All right, let's continue with taxi and the rest of the checklist. I'll hold short of the runway and tune in with you guys when we're ready to do that. All right, I actually ended up lining up with the runway today. That's okay. We've got some crosswind and no real headwind at the moment, which means we're probably on the wrong runway. It's okay, that's fine. Let's just go to our run-up checklist. Position into wind, which we kind of didn't do, but that's okay. You should obviously take off with a headwind. Brakes hold. Fuel quantity check. We're good on fuel on both sides. Fuel selectors are good. Yep, fuel selectors are good. Mixture as required. We need to go full on the mixture. Throttle 2000 RPM. Now, using the throttle, we need to climb up to 2000 RPM. So let's do that. Right here. We'll keep it right here at 2000. There we go. And then we're supposed to check our engine instruments. Everything is looking good for us here today. Yes, it is. Okay. Magnetos. Now you're supposed to check with different magnetos what happens to the RPM. So let's see. Okay, right magnetos 1920, left at 1860. I think we're okay. I'm gonna leave it. Yep, we'll put it back on both there. You need to follow these differences and make sure everything is in order. Propeller, we need to cycle it 3 times. Now cycling it means we're going to reduce the RPM, increase the RPM, reduce the RPM, increase the RPM. We're going to do that 3 times. Let's go ahead and do that. There we go. And increase the RPM. That's once. This is twice. I'm cycling it a little wrong here. I know that. And I'm doing that on purpose because I don't want my temperature here to go above. Now we're going to reduce the RPM here to about 1800. There we go. 1800. And let's see if it's steady. It is steady. There you go. That's steady and we're good to go. Okay, so we can reduce our throttle and increase our RPM. Carb heat check. So let's come to our cabin here. We're at 19 degrees Celsius. We're okay. We don't need anything to do with the heating or any of that. Controls free and correct. Okay, you can test this with your hardware if you want, but as you can see, everything is looking okay. Yep, it is. Door is latched, which it is. There you go. It's latched up there. Flaps set as desired. We need to put flaps. I'll use 1-notch flap today for takeoff. Let's see. Fuel selectors done. Fuel pump on. We need to turn on our fuel pump for takeoff. There you go. Mixture full rich, which it is. Propeller full forward, which it is. Carb heat off, which it is. Engine gauges check. Pitot heat as required. Today, what is our outside temperature? 19 degrees Celsius. Do we really need pitot heats? I don't think so. So I'm going to leave pitot heats. You know what? I'll leave them on. Strobe lights on. Strobe lights are these. Landing lights, we don't really need them. This is broad daylight, but we'll still turn them on. Now for takeoff, we open up our throttle fully and we check that our airspeed is alive. We check our engine gauges, make sure nothing is going amiss. Then after that, we rotate at 85, which is somewhere right here, 85 miles per hour. We verify the positive climb there, then gear up, flaps up, airspeed 105 for climb out. If you want to do that, I think we're gonna be okay, but we're not gonna follow this exactly, but we'll do what we can. Yeah, I'll leave our tablet here so we can refer to it. Let's go ahead, release parking brakes, open up our throttle. There you go. Correct for the pull from the propeller using your rudder. Oh, that wind. We took off way before 85. That's okay. It was a wind pushing us. Right. Gear up. Is gear up happening? No, it's not. There we go. Now it is. We need to wait till we are at least 1,000 feet above the ground to reduce the power, etc, etc. That is recommended practice. So let's continue on this climb right here. That's not a very good takeoff, but okay, there we go. We got somewhere near 1,000. Let's reduce our power to reduce the propeller RPM as well. Take the stress off the engine right there. We are flying. Okay, we can put our flaps up now. Very nice. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the autopilot of the Piper Comanche. We are now climbing out. Now while climbing out, our fuel pump needs to be turned off. Now let's see what we can do with the autopilot of the Piper Comanche. Now the autopilot in this particular aircraft is very, very basic, but it is modeled. You've got your master switch right here for the autopilot. You need to turn this on and all these lights will flash. You gotta wait for that to finish and for this green light come on there. There you go. That tells you that the autopilot is now ready. Okay, it is now ready for you to engage it. Now when engaging it, you use this button right here. You press it to move through the various mods of the autopilot. The ST right there, that will help you keep your wings level. You've got your heading mode, that will make the aircraft turn towards the whatever heading you've selected with your heading bug right here. So for now, first let's go to ST mode. Hold the wings level right there, which it does. Now it's still climbing because we have not engaged altitude hold mode. Okay, that is not something we've done. Another thing to note before takeoff, please make sure your pitch, your trim is in the neutral position, something I forgot to do because I assumed it was in the neutral. You've got your rudder trim right here. This is the wheel that controls it if you want to set it, and this is the elevator trim right here. Okay, we got a bunch of passengers screaming over there. Over what? God damn, all that screaming. Oh, where is that? What? Where is it? Cabin panic right here. Turn that off. Good lord, I was not expecting that. Anyway, if you want to engage your altitude hold mode, you've got your button right here, or if you have the yoke showing, it's going to show up right here. All right, you can press that button and it will go into altitude hold mode, where it will hold whatever altitude you press the button at. Basically, that's all it will do. Now if you're out of whack with the trim, it will give you a warning. There is no auto trimming in this particular aircraft, so you need to manually put the trim in a way that the autopilot can manage the aircraft at. So right now it's telling us we need to trim down. Let's trim down. I'm trimming using my controls. You can see that happening. There you go. You trim down, and once you've gone within an acceptable level of trim for the autopilot, it will stop beeping right there. Okay, let's reduce our throttle, control that speed right there. There you go. Now we're flying with wings level, holding altitude at 6,000 feet apparently. If you want to use heading mode, let's change to heading mode right here and ask our aircraft. Oh, that's the course button. Sorry, that is the course. Let's change the heading and let's turn back around just like that. When you get to cruise, you've got your checklist right here. Throttle set. In fact, it's a little too much. Let's cut our speed a little bit. Propeller set, we can go slightly off with that. Mixture, we can lean it out as required. We can lean it out as required. We're at 6,000 feet, so pretty much leaned it out. Fuel pump verify off, which it is. We don't need our lights, obviously. Landing lights can come off. Fuel pressure check, and you've got everything here is functioning as it should. There you go. Now let's go ahead, turn back around and perform a landing back into Victoria International. I can see the airport right ahead of us. We are a little too high and we're being battered by wind, so it's going to be very interesting today. Let's disengage the altitude hold mode. We're supposed to go autopilot master off, which we have just done, and AP can also come off right here. Fuel pump needs to be on, fuel selectors, desired tank, fuel levels are good for us. Mixture needs to go to rich, RPM needs to go to high. Fuel pressure is looking good for us. It's okay for us. It's a little high, but that's okay. Propeller full forward done. Carb heat, we don't need to worry about that. Airspeed needs to come down to 120. Let's cut our throttle as far as we can and try and bring our airspeed down. Obviously we're too high, so we're going to need to circle at least once to try and bring our airspeed down to 120, and then we can put our gear and flaps down. All right, now how am I going to slow down today? Oh, this is very bumpy today. I'm going to side slip our aircraft. There we go, 120, and then we can put our gear down if we want to. Try and descend towards that runway right ahead of us while doing this. Okay, somewhere near 120, right? That's good enough. That's good enough. Okay, let's try this. Yeah, I'm trying my best to descend our aircraft. I don't think I'm having any luck. 150 is the limit for gear down. Let's try it. Gear down. That helps a little bit with reducing the speed. We can only operate our flaps in the white band area of the airspeed indicator right there. Okay, this is crazy. That is the runway we're trying to land at. Okay, I don't think we're gonna make that one. Yeah, we're not gonna make that. Let's just go around, turn, perform one little turn, and then we'll come back in for landing. Okay, that is much better. We're in line there. Let's put our gear down. Is our gear down? There we go. Now it's going down. Yep, I believe we're good. There we go. Okay, let's drop our flaps. Okay, let's side slip our aircraft. Try and slow down a little bit. Drop that flap one more. And let's cut our throttle. Our approach is supposed to be around... Yeah, we can approach at this speed. Landing is supposed to be around 95 or something like that, if I'm not completely mistaken. Okay, that is definitely not how to do it, guys. So if we take a look at our landing checklist, yeah, we're supposed to land at 90, but that's okay. We've got some runway length available to us. And there you go. Okay. There we are. Alright, that is definitely not how to fly it, but nonetheless, after landing, you need to put your flaps up, you need to get your strobe lights off right there, fuel pump off, mixture, we can lean it out, we can put our RPM high, just above 1,000 right here, lean out the mixture, trim back on neutral, somewhere there, done our landing checklist as well. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Alright, we have parked our aircraft. Let's go ahead and perform our shutdown checklist. Parking brake set, radios off. Let's put that off right there. Put our transponders off as well, right? Yep. Avionics master switch off. Master switch off. Throttle closed completely. Mixture idle cutoff. So there you go. Can do that right there. Magnetors are off. Control wheel secure. Doors, windows closed and tie down. Okay, so there you go. We have completed our flight there. Let's put all of those on. We can put that. Oh, beacon lights are still on. Go over the panel right here and make sure everything else is switched off. Heat here is done. That's all good. Everything else is looking pretty good. Fuel selectors can also come off. That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. So there is my first flight with the Piper Comanche. Obviously, I did it a little bit extreme. I need to learn the aircraft a little better there. All right. So hopefully as I learn more about this aircraft, I'll be able to put out a couple of tutorials for you guys. But for today, I think this is exactly where we're going to leave it. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Hope you found that very, very interesting and entertaining. Lots of mistake today. That's all right. You live and you learn. So yeah, as I get more used to this aircraft, I will put out tutorials on various aspects of it, and this is an aircraft I look forward to flying much more regularly as part of my GA fleet. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall catch you in the next one. Bye bye.